Imagine a scenario straight out of a Hollywood disaster movie, but one that's completely grounded in the very real, very fragile mechanisms that keep our world spinning every single day. Welcome to This Explainer. Grab your focus, get comfortable, because today we are diving into the ultimate domino effect. What if tomorrow every American decided to stop working for 30 days? I really want you to let that sink in for a second. No one shows up. No exceptions. We aren't just talking about office workers logging off or a long holiday weekend. We're talking about everyone, everywhere, just stopping. To figure out what would happen, we have to trace the catastrophic domino effect of total, unprecedented inaction. You see, modern civilization depends on millions of workers every single day. It's this massive, invisible foundation of continuous, interconnected human effort. We wake up, we turn on the tap, and water flows. We flip a switch, the lights come on. We head to the store, and boom, there's fresh food on the shelves. But that reality, it isn't magic. It is an incredibly fragile chain of millions of people. You've got truck drivers, grid operators, farmers, nurses, all doing their part. If that chain snaps, the entire illusion of our self-sustaining modern life shatters. Literally, immediately. So let's break this down, starting with Section 1, the immediate halt, covering days 1 to 7. To really understand the cascading consequences here, we have to track this domino effect across an exact 30-day window. Let's start right at the very beginning, those first 24 hours. Imagine waking up to an eerie, deeply unsettling quiet. The morning rush hour? It simply doesn't happen. Offices close their doors, the roar of airplanes overhead totally ceases as flights are canceled indefinitely. Public transport slows to an absolute halt. If you ordered groceries, well, those deliveries stall instantly. Almost immediately, the physical movement of the entire country evaporates. Now, it might feel kind of like a strange, unexpected snow day at first, but trust me, that novelty wears off in a matter of hours. As we enter days 2 through 7, the true supply chain collapse kicks into high gear. Warehouses empty out rapidly, and with transit networks completely halted, nothing new is coming in to replace that inventory. Severe shortages hit the shelves almost immediately. That initial inconvenience we talked about, it morphs into a genuine, full-blown crisis. The milk and bread are gone, pharmacies run out of essential, life-saving medications, daily life as we know it completely changes in less than a week. This brings us to Section 2, economic freefall, which hits hard in week 2. Billions. The absolute crucial point here is understanding the sheer scale of the financial wipeout. We're escalating from physical shortages to severe financial consequences. Overnight, as extreme stock market volatility grips the nation, companies start hemorrhaging billions of dollars. The intricate, delicate web of global commerce just seizes up, and the financial lifeblood of the nation drains away in a matter of days. Consumer spending falls off an absolute cliff. The healthy, normal operations we're all so used to just vanish into thin air. With everyone sitting at home and the supply chain broken, nobody is buying and nobody is selling. Small businesses, your favorite restaurants, the local hardware stores, the independent shops downtown, they immediately struggle for survival. Their cash flow hits absolute zero. The end result here? Deep financial uncertainty completely paralyzes the economy. This isn't just about stock portfolios taking a hit, right? This is about the total inability to conduct basic transactions, pay for future services, or guarantee any sort of economic stability whatsoever. By the end of week 2, this financial paralysis sets a very, very dark stage for a much broader societal crisis. Which leads us directly into Section 3, societal breakdown in week 3. You and I, we take our comfortable reality for granted. We expect functioning healthcare, steady food distribution, active public safety. But by week 3, we shift into a chilling new paradigm. Essential services are halted. There's no food delivery. Public safety is entirely compromised. We've shifted completely from a financial problem to a dire, immediate threat facing human survival. I mean, what happens when a hospital's backup generators run out of fuel and literally no one is coming to refill them? Across every single sector, the impacts are downright terrifying. In healthcare, critical care is halted. Without police or fire departments actively patrolling or responding to calls, public safety is severely compromised. This absolute lack of essential workers forces an immediate, desperate government emergency response. But wait, remember the premise of our scenario? Government workers have stopped too? The traditional safety nets we all rely on are entirely gone, which leads us to this really profound reality. Desperate community cooperation becomes the final safety net. In the absolute absence of institutional support, neighbors have to rely on each other just to survive. Communities would have to band together to ration whatever remaining food they have, secure their neighborhoods, and care for the sick. It's a harsh, incredibly rapid return to our most basic human instincts of tribal cooperation. Finally, we reach Section 4, the aftermath, Day 30 and beyond. We finally arrive at Day 30. The month is over, people are allowed and presumably very willing to go back to work. But hitting this date, it is definitely not a magic reset button. It is actually just the beginning of a grueling, long-term recovery process. You can't just flip the master switch of society back to on after a month of total, system-wide neglect. To even begin to reboot society, there would have to be a strict sequence of recovery, a mandatory order of operations, if you will. Step 1. Essential services and healthcare. You absolutely need power, water, and emergency rooms functioning first. Step 2. Supply chains and logistics. You have to get the trucks moving and the warehouses stocked up again. Only then can we reach Step 3. Consumer businesses and retail. A clothing store or a coffee shop cannot physically function until those first 2 massive layers are completely rebuilt. So that leaves us with a huge, lingering question. How long will the recovery actually take? The harsh reality is that a 1-month pause will dictate a recovery lasting far, far longer than the standstill itself. When you factor in the massive backlog of global shipping, the cascade of financial defaults, and the physical decay of unmaintained infrastructure, it would take months, perhaps even years, to truly return to the world we knew on Day 0. Which brings us to Section 5, our final lesson, the value of every worker. If this thought experiment teaches us anything at all, it is this. Every single worker matters. The entire foundation of our society rests squarely on the shoulders of every individual. From the person scanning your groceries, to the sanitation worker collecting the trash, to the technician monitoring the regional power grid. None of it works without all of it working. Modern society depends entirely on our continued cooperation. The invisible web that ties us all together is so easy to ignore when things are going perfectly, but it is the very thing keeping the lights on. So I challenge you to look around today. If the person next to you stopped, what would break in your world? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking big questions, and I'll see you next time.